Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is Adversity to Awesome. This show was actually titled Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity when I first started out on the radio just over 18 months ago. And now I've published a book that's called Adversity to Awesome, and it made sense to have a show in alignment with that, where people come forward and share their stories of how they've overcome major challenges in their life. They never gave up. They persisted. They researched. They learned. They reached out to community members, and they overcame their adversity. Today, we have a very special guest. He reminded me backstage that it was actually 1 year ago today that I interviewed him and his beautiful wife, which is incredible that it's a year later. And his name is Adam Duval, and he is in the UK, and he is a mental health warrior. He is certified in many areas. We're going to be discussing that. And he is really all about helping people share their stories to realize that they're not alone. He's a podcaster himself. He has his own platform. Let's welcome him to the program. Welcome, Adam.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
It's nice to have you. You're always engaging with our shows, and I really appreciate that. And the fact that it was a year ago, where does the time go? It's incredible.
Hey, time flies when you're having fun.
It definitely does. And I would assume that you feel the same way I feel when it comes to meeting people. It's so special to have an opportunity to welcome someone and hear their story. And that's why I'm so glad that you're here today as well. So I'm going to spotlight you, and I'd love for you to share your own mental health story. And then we'll get into some of the specifics of the work that you're doing.
Thanks. Yeah, so obviously I'm Adam Duval, for people that don't know me. I am the founder of an organisation called the Mental Health Warriors, where we basically stream live, just like Jacalyn does, where we bring people on from all over the world into sharing their story about mental health challenges. I'm doing all this through my own experience from mental health, where I experienced childhood abuse, childhood trauma, to the point I actually attempted suicide in March 2019. So I now am here. I'm practically stabilized, and I'm ready to end this stigma. And that's what life's all about.
Adam, thank you so much for your transparency and sharing that. That is something that we need people to come forward and say, this is what's going on with me, instead of living in shame. I mentioned in my book, Something Happened to Me, that I lived in shame. It affects your health overall. And it affects the choices that you made, the decisions that you made. So if you would share with us what led up to that day when you thought of taking your own life.
Yeah, well, what it is, because obviously I was abused from the age of 3 years old, because I was actually struggling to ride a bike, which I didn't learn until I was 9 years old, all because of my dyspraxia, which, for people that don't know what dyspraxia is, it's a physical disability that affects your coordination. And obviously that's when my nightmare began, where to the point I was bullied every single day until I was adulthood, when I became an adult. And now, obviously, with me experiencing that, where I kept that to myself for over 20 years, and then obviously losing my daughter with obviously no fault of mine to the system, where she was put up for adoption, which obviously I can't say too much on about that because it's an ongoing case. So all that just added up to the point, right, I need to go. And all that pain just got on top of me.
And I'm just, again, so appreciative of you coming here and sharing this. When you felt there was nowhere to turn, or that things just kept piling on higher and higher, did you think to yourself at that moment that maybe there were other options, or did it just seem like you just didn't want to be here anymore?
No, I thought death was the only option.
And death was the only option because the pain was so great?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So for anybody who's out there who's feeling this way, or you felt this way before, what can you share, Adam, about your key learnings as a result of not taking your life?
Well, obviously, I'm not gonna say how I tried and take my life because I don't want to trigger anyone. But um, I heard this voice, which I don't know who that voice is. I still don't know now. But they basically just said the word enough, and then obviously that turned out after I did that, I was petrified from just leaving my own bedroom for a good 8 days to the point. I actually stepped outside from the encouragement and the inspiration from the people I live with now, which is my wife and my kids. And obviously, we was taking my kids to school, and I kept looking over my shoulder because I was pretty much quite back. And my daughter came up to me, held my hand, and said, "Dad, you can do this." So she knew I was struggling, which, in ways, I think she's an empath. Um, so obviously, I then did that, and because I was doing these steps for National Autism Awareness, which I did succeed, and yeah, I just thought from then life can get better, and that's when I got into my training.
What an incredible moment to have your child
Yeah,
just give you that safe space and that
yeah.
encouragement. That's really beautiful. So you started doing your training, and what did that training include?
It basically included understanding the signs and recognizing the signs of when someone is going to go into crisis. It covered things like schizophrenia, psychosis, self harm, people that actually want to commit suicide, um, just all of them from alcohol abuse, drug misuse. So I covered all of that.
That's a lot to cover. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, in your learnings and based on your own experience, when someone is feeling that death is the only option, if they're not able to succeed, will they continue to try unless something else happens in their life?
There's always a way. There's always a way. And I still remember when I hit rock bottom because I've hit rock bottom several times. And I admit right now, it is the darkest place anyone can experience. And it does feel negative. It really does. It feels like your feet are on the ground and you're in this dark room and the walls are closing in all around you. But one area. So it feels like the walls are closing in from the sides. So see that as a positive as well. See it as an opportunity, because why I say that is because yes, you can't turn to the side because the walls are closing in. You can't get any lower because your feet are at rock bottom. So the only way is up, and that is your opportunity to get back on your feet and say, I don't want to do this, because I've now realized everything is a choice.
And Adam, thank you for sharing that. It's been a little over 3 years, I believe, since you attempted your suicide.
Yeah.
And your life is in an amazing direction where you are helping other people
Yeah.
every day. So I want
I am.
people to realize you can turn the whole thing around. So do share with us the trainings that you took, some of the key tips that our audience can really start to think about if they're feeling that they don't want to live anymore. They can reach out to organizations. Obviously, there's people to speak to. How do you help people in that regard?
Of course. Now, obviously, over here in the UK, we've got something called the NHS, which is the National Health Organisation. And I admit, hands down, it didn't work for me. Counselling didn't work for me. But that doesn't mean it won't help you. I always believe the best people that can help you through your mental health struggles is people that's actually been there. But there's that. But the best person to actually know the mental health is themselves. Now, mental health in a nutshell is health in general. It could be physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, just health in general. And as I said, everything's a choice. You don't have to be there. You don't. I've bounced back. I've had this transformational life for the last 3 years. Just the last couple of months, I've made this transformational change because I was having a lot of down days because I was eating junk food, I wasn't exercising, I was drinking caffeine, alcohol, you name it, I was doing it. But now I've given all that up. I exercise daily now. I don't have caffeine. I've not touched a drop of alcohol in over 2 months, and I'm all organic now. So if you think there's no way, think again because there is always a way.
Adam, that's so inspiring. And thank you for bringing up about the different aspects of one's life that we might not think has a role to play in suicide, what we're putting into our bodies, what we're
Yes.
watching. How does this correlate to mental health and a need to really revisit it?
Yeah, well, speaking of, I'm just going to pick on alcohol, or if you want to talk about drugs or whatever you want to talk about. Also, I'm not going to name any drugs or stuff like that, but what it does is it sends chemicals to your brain. So it could spiral you out of control, it could make you chilled. But if you're in pain and you're taking these substances, that's only a temporary fix. It's not a long-term fix. It's not a permanent fix. It's just going to numb it until you want a next fix, if you get me. But if you actually, obviously, don't take my word for it. Do your own research, and that's how I say it. But with me, because I always talk from experience, I've given all that up, and caffeine as well. Caffeine's known to trigger anxiety and depression. Ever since I've cut caffeine out my life, I've only had one down day in 2 months. I feel on top of the world right now, if not higher than that. And I am loving life. I used to be like you. I hate life. But now I don't. I love it because there's always a transformational with everything.
So true, Adam. I just appreciate what you're sharing. I also want to just let the audience know I gave up caffeine 3.5 years ago. I was drinking iced tea all day long every day, and I did it because of my ulcerative colitis to keep my digestive system from having to work all the time. And I didn't think I could do it, and I could care less. I drink water all day long. That's it. No juices, none of the other things. You can do it, and
Yeah,
it's interesting because some people, they need that coffee when they get up in the morning, right? It's like they have to have it.
exactly. There's a choice between do you need it or do you just want it? That's how it is. But nobody needs anything. The
Right, but it's true. We
Yeah.
become dependent upon it, and then if we don't have it, we feel like we're not going to be able to move forward. But you can. It's how you look at things. It's your
Mm,
mental strength and what's on the other side of it. What's
mm,
the benefit of doing it and envisioning yourself already accomplishing it? That's what I like to look at. So I
right.
want to get into the work that you're doing as a mental health warrior, and also the platform that you have for people to come forward and share their stories.
Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, like I said earlier, I'm the founder of an organization called the Mental Health Warriors, which we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. But I want to kickstart with how that was actually created. Obviously, I was down, I was depressed, I was rock bottom. And my friend, late great friend Philip Cham, rang me up and he said, Adam, what are you doing? You need to create the mental health warriors. And I'm like, what is that? You can, because I see a lot of potential with you. Get this created and your life will begin. So I created it with a little bit of help. Did I think it was a success at first? No. And I was actually ready to click that delete button pretty much straight away because it was only on like 90 followers. And I thought, no, this ain't going to achieve anything. But I didn't. And I kept it growing and growing and growing and growing. And now we're reaching over 10,000 people each episode. And That's what we're doing. I mean, I'm part of a team, so there's not just UK based. We've got people from America, people from Australia, even Canada. We're all together, and we want to make this difference. We want to change people's lives and get them to realise staying silent is not the way forward. We need to talk about our stories because everyone's got one.
Absolutely. You just brought up another great point, Adam, which is sometimes we're down a path and everything's just not perfect. It's like,
No.
oh, here comes a
What is
challenge.
perfect?
Right. And we just say, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go back to what I was doing because it's comfortable. No, keep pushing forward. That's what it's not going to be simple. If it was simple, everybody would be doing it. And I know from what you're doing, from what I'm doing, that there definitely have been days where you think to yourself, I'm not really sure where's the money coming from or where, and it comes, it happens. And we just have to stay true to our calling. And obviously you found your calling now.
I have, and did I think it was going to be easy? No, I thought it was going to be a struggle, and it still is a struggle, but it's hard, yeah, but it's not impossible.
Thank you for bringing up Philip Chan. He is so missed, and
He
I
is.
didn't remember that he's the one who introduced us.
He is. Yes, he is. He is
So for people joining and they don't know who Philip is, how would you describe him?
a giver. He never, ever put himself first. He is one of a kind, and he's gone, but his legacy carries on through platforms like this, through the Mental Health Warriors, even through maths, the educational topic maths. All that carries on. That I've got one of his books upstairs, and he's inspired not just myself, but inspired my son, my 10-year-old son, to push forward in life. And he's one of the reasons why my son has just completed his GCSE maths at 10 years old.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
We definitely do miss Philip Chan. If any of you out there have memories that you want to share about him, we'd love to have them in the comments. And I thank him for bringing us together and for all the people he brought to this platform. We do have a comment from Elizabeth Jean Olivia Gagnon. Very proud of Adam and the work of the Mental Health Warriors.
Yeah. Well, I know Lizzie. She's ace.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for watching and also for commenting. So, Adam, in the work that you do, it requires people to trust you, to share what it is they're feeling. And that's a huge responsibility. How do you manage it?
Great question. I always say I'm not here to make friends. I'm not. What I am here is to transform people's lives, just like I've transformed my own. I'm here to say thank you and give back to the community. And I believe working together, if there's more voices out there that are doing the exact same thing and raising awareness and acceptance and say mental health needs to change, the stigma needs to end, not just for mental health, but disability discrimination as well. More voices stand together, the more of a chance we're going to get listened to. The less chance. It's that simple.
Brilliant. And what else can you share about people in our home, people in our daily lives? When we are feeling certain things, is it okay to just share it with everyone? Should you go to a professional? What's the best thing to do?
That's your choice because, like I said earlier, it's the best person to know the mental health is themselves. But the best person to also have an idea about mental health is a person that's actually been there themselves. So, do I admit doctors need more training in understanding mental health? Of course they do. So does schools. They need a better understanding. But we're all victims of the system, I say. But obviously, I'm not going to get into that because I'll be here all day. But yeah, mental health. It's just one of them things. I always believe that we've all got mental health, but why the hell should we let that affect our identity? because we wasn't born with these labels, whether it's PTSD, depression. We weren't. We were born with our names. So I don't let these labels affect me.
That's a good point. Also, I was thinking about my great niece. She's 9 months old, and I was with her over the weekend and just watching her. I'm not around babies very much or children, and because I'm behind this green screen, and just to watch how innocent and everything, the curiosity, and there's no labels about anything. There's just interesting. But as we get older, then we start judging and labeling, and we're no longer listening to each other.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're doing, the work you're doing, and so many others is really saying, hey, we're not going to put up with this anymore. We
No,
have to
enough's enough.
change it. When we think about physicians and educators, their mental health has to have changed because of all that they've seen and done. So it's not one group of people, one person. It's literally the whole world. The whole world is in need of looking at mental health awareness in different ways. So I want to go on to an extension of this. We have a show here. It's called The Art of Creating Mental Health Wealth, and I know you watch it and you've commented. Thank you. What are your thoughts about expressing our mental health through creative opportunities?
I love that idea because people with mental health, they always don't know how to communicate through words because words don't always express how you feel. But this is why there's not just talking therapy out there, but there's also creative therapy. And people can actually express how they feel through, for example, painting or drawing or even playing a musical instrument or even singing. There's always different types of methods of therapy to express your mental health challenges. And this is how it is. With mine, I feel like being in front of a camera and talking, that's my way of expressing. And and just when I go for self-care, if my partner hears me listening to the musician called Evanescence, if people know her, then they know, right, Adam's having self-care, let's leave him alone. And that's what they do. So they always know what signs to look out for.
And it's great that you have that kind of relationship where you're respecting one another and the
Yeah.
space that you need.
Yeah.
Many of the creatives I've interviewed on this platform have shared their own challenges with mental health, and especially comedians. And I know
Mhm.
here in the States, a number of comedians have taken their own lives. So, what are your thoughts about putting on that face that I'm okay when I'm really not? Because you're more worried about what other people think than how you feel.
That's all to do with people pleasing. And that's exactly what I was like all through my educational life. I was trying to be all these different kinds of people all at once. And how I did it, I really don't know. I still don't know now. But I managed it in some way possible. Um, Obviously, I remember being abused, and it was a one summer day, and I turned up in a jumper, thick jumper, and people was asking me, why are you wearing a jumper on this hot day? And I just came up with all these excuses. And I kept saying I was fine, I'm fine. Stop pestering me. And really, I wasn't. I wasn't. I was crying inside. I was screaming. I want this help, but I want to talk to someone. But it just wouldn't cross my throat. So that's how I stayed in silence for all these years. But now the best thing I ever did was let my voice be heard. Because I even said to my kids now, you were born with a voice box. Don't let anyone silence you. If you want to express how you feel, do it.
Thank you again for just being so down to earth and transparent. So my question for you, actually, when you brought up your children, is how do you set those boundaries for the time that you're going to spend and devote to them and with them versus the time that you need for yourself. I know you mentioned that when they see certain behaviors, they know to give you your time. But how do you personally, like for your day, for your week, for your month, how do you make sure that you're not getting overburdened or overloaded as a father, and
Yeah.
that would affect you and taking care of yourself?
Yeah, I remember doing live shows about 3 times a week, and I admit I've not always been the best dad. I haven't, or a best partner, but because I always put me first, and it was wrong. I regret that, but now I've learned to balance things, and I rebalance it all the time. To the point now with the Mental Health Warriors. Yes, I've got a team behind me, but I only go live once a week. If not, they are possibly twice. But that's pretty much it. But what I do is I always make sure that I put all my like laptop down, phone down, and I spend time with my kids, with Kerry. Like with Kerry, I spend 2 nights a week with her, where we're basically technology ignored, focus time with the kids, and make sure I spend at least a couple of hours with them after school. Well, an hour before school, a couple of hours after school, just spending time with them to know that they are not on their own. Even though that they're full on with their own technology, I'm like, right, okay, let's come down and have some family time. And this is what we do. We do that every single day.
That's beautiful. It sounds like you've really put a lot of thought into it to make sure that everyone feels that they are acknowledged
Yeah.
and loved.
Hmm.
What have you found as a result of the pandemic, the impact it's had on your children and other children you may know?
Has there been a pandemic? I say that because this is how busy I've been. Because I admit, when it first came, well, I know we've all got our views on it, but when it first came around, yeah, I struggled for the first couple of weeks. But then I thought, right, I need to do something. I can't just sit here in self pity. So this is how Mental Health Warriors started building. I need to build on myself, build on people around me, and that's how we did. The word social distant, nah, I've never listened to that in my entire life. Um, I've never felt so social connected in my life.
It's interesting that you share that because you started your platform. I started my platform. It was all during the pandemic. So people were really able to find their passion or just say, hey, I've had enough of what I've been doing. It's not working. My health is showing it's not working. It's time to do something else. But other people have not. And there are people who are really struggling today. And not only are they struggling as a result of the pandemic, but they're angry. They're angry at the war. They're angry at gas prices. They're angry at all the things that are going on in the world, depending on where you are. And that, in and of itself, has a major impact on your mental health. So, what happens, Adam, when someone's walking around filled with anger and hate all the time?
I used to be like that. And I've now learned, if you want to be angry, find a way to express it. That doesn't mean go out and start drinking heavily or taking substance abuse or start being a nuisance in the community. Don't, because that's only going to end up one thing, or if not two things, and that's in prison or death. So find other ways to express it. And that means, like, when I get angry or when any of us get angry, what we do is we go for a walk, whatever weather. I've gone out in the rain before. I don't care. I can do that. Or what we can do is a bit of meditation. Or if not, get a pillow. And this is what I do with my kids when they get angry. I just did it the other day with my daughter, to be honest. I got a pillow and either let them scream into the pillow, or I let them punch and kick the pillow whenever they want. And that's what I do. That's not encouraging violence. That's getting them to let off that steam. And then as soon as she's finished, I asked her, how do you feel? And she went, a bit better, because that's how it is.
Yes, yes, it is. And I know I don't usually get angry, but I am resentful when I don't get to work out because I know how much I need it, because we all carry things with us throughout the day, and we need a way to release it. So I love that you just shared that. You shared some really good techniques. And I find lifting weights, I know not everyone is interested in that, not everyone can do it, but when you're lifting weights, I don't know, the adrenaline, the stress, it's sort of, you feel so much better after you're finished.
Yeah, some people do that, but what I do is I do this all the time. Is when I go for a shower, obviously it's normal, but then the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I turn it on freezing cold. And there's been times where Kerry's came in and she's tried winding me up, to be honest, having a laugh. Where she's because we've got this system where if you flush the toilet or you turn the cold tap on from the sink, the shower gets colder. And she did that, and I went, I'm enjoying this. And she's like, what? So yeah, that's how it is. But this is what it is, because with the cold shower, it shocks the whole body within less than 5 seconds. And if you're feeling anxiety, I recommend a cold shower because that shocks the whole of you. And I guarantee after that, you'll feel a little bit better.
Yes, wow, I give you credit. 5 or 10 minutes. That's amazing. I'm at 3 minutes, I think. And I was just
Oh,
told by someone recently that taking a cold shower on a regular basis can extend your life for a certain amount of
it
time.
can. It can, yes. I don't know the statistics though, but yeah, it can.
I don't know the statistics either, but I do want people to be able to get on your show. How does this work?
What they can do is they can message me. Obviously, people know who I am, Adam Duval. You can catch me on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, or you can email us at mhwarrior99@gmail.com. Or, yeah, and basically you can do that and we can get you scheduled in for whenever. Because we've got loads of shows going out.
Are there certain requirements that you have for people to be a guest?
No, have an open mind.
I love that.
I know I've
So
invited you plenty of times, Jacalyn.
it's because I'm always, you see where I am. People will be like, all right, someone just said to me, what are you going to do for your vacation? I said, vacation? I don't get any. I'm working
No.
7 days a week. My family is actually downstairs and they can't come into the floor below me. So they won't make any noise. So this is what I'm doing all the time. And I'd love to be on your show, but when your show happens, I have another show. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the way it is right now. We work on a schedule here,
Yeah.
as you do too. So I think something that would be really important to share in the last part of our segment is for people to really do an inventory of their lives and an inventory of how they're feeling in their own body. And what I mean by that is, I do believe that when we listen to our intuition, something's not right, something is right, that we stand a better chance of making a decision that will be a good one. And when we're not in alignment with our intuition, which I definitely have not been my whole life, there's been times when I haven't, and it shows up later. So, what are your thoughts about intuition, Adam, and mental health?
There's definitely a connection. There really is, but it all depends on what kind of intuition you're thinking about. But when I hear the word intuition, straight away I feel connection and definitely all spiritual because I used to be against spiritual. I thought it was all a big hoax, yeah, I say. But when I practiced it myself, obviously with Kerry, I love it. And now we've got candles dotting around the house. We put the diffuser on with essential oils. I do a lot of aromatherapy now, and this is what it is, all spiritual, and it makes you feel really energetic.
Adam, you have come full circle, it sounds like. How did this happen? 3 years ago, you were one way. Now, today, you're in the complete opposite.
I
What were
know.
those? It's exciting. But what were those steps? If you were so against spirituality, what are some of the things that happened or that you did that helped change that?
Well, it's funny you say that because a couple of years ago, it was either 2 or 3 years ago, where obviously I treated Kerry to a birthday treat where she meditated with crystals, and obviously I had to get out of it because I thought it was a big hoax. And then obviously when it came down after about half an hour, I saw Kerry crying and I thought, what's going on with you? And she told me a little bit about it. So I thought a couple of days later, I thought, right, I want to have a go at this, see what all the fusses are all about. And then obviously I let the eyes closed and I was literally flat on the floor. And Kerry started putting these crystals on me while listening to a 20-minute video on YouTube all about meditation with crystals. So I was listening to that while focusing on my breathing at the same time. And then at the end of it, after that 20 minutes, I felt different. I felt like I was being lifted up, like what you do when you're doing a stage dive at a gig or a concert, whatever you want to call it. And also I felt like someone was holding my left hand but my right arm at the same time. So I feel like the other side came through. And because I always believe in spirits, I always believe in demons as well. I believe both of them are out there. But yeah, and ever since that, I've been all spiritual. I've been all for it.
That's amazing. So during this 20-minute session, were you completely open to what the new
Yeah.
experience would be, or were you doubting it at all?
I had a little bit of doubt at first, but I said the last about 15 minutes of it, something happened to me. And I still remember it like I only did it 10 minutes ago.
So when you're working with people and they're coming to you, you're speaking with them for your show, do you share your meditation story? I think that's a really good one to let people know about, because so many people are intimidated by meditation or they can't
Yeah.
do it.
There has been times when I've been on camera and I've had one of them scented sticks burning in the background, and people thought my house was on fire, but no, it wasn't. I've got all sorts. I've got like basil, I've got sage, stuff like that. And yeah, I do share it from time to time. Not always, but I wish I do now. But yeah, I highly recommend turning to spirituality.
I do as well. And I think there's just something calming about accepting and truly believing that there's more than us, that there's more than our
Yeah,
physical entities here on this planet. And once we do, we can become curious about what is that, and then see what comes up for us, see what those feelings are and those emotions. And that enables us, again, to just continue to grow.
I agree.
Well, we're actually at the end of our show. I didn't even run the sponsorships. I was so interested in what you were saying, Adam. So
Thank you.
I appreciate that. I would love for you to close out with a personal message to touch one person, hundreds of thousands, whatever it is, people out there, because you're doing such great work. And then I'll have you share your contact information.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what it is if you feel like you're living in silence, don't. Don't. Things might be hard at present. They may be hard in a couple of days' time, maybe a couple of months' time. But all this light end of the tunnel, no, I don't believe that. I don't. You may, I don't. But always remember, you are that light. Compare yourself to being minors. I learned that from the great Lorraine Harris. You are minors. You are in this dark place, and everywhere you turn to, the light's following you. And that's what it is. And light always takes you to the right direction. You may feel lost, but you're only in calm before the storm. And the storm does not last forever. You'll get through it.
Beautiful analogy. Thank you for that. I like to say, and I really live by this, that whatever's happening is temporary, because everything's
Yes.
always changing. So
Yeah.
instead of looking at it as just it's this moment and that's all there is, it's no, it's part of a much bigger picture, and we have to open our eyes to that. And thank you for encouraging people. And again, let people know how they can contact you and how they can be on your show.
Yeah, obviously you can find me on Facebook. My name's there, Adam Duval. You can message me at any time. You can email us at the mhwarrior99@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook as the Mental Health Warriors. You can even find us on YouTube at MH Warrior TV, where we put a lot of content out every single day. Obviously, we put a TV guide out every single Sunday where you'll know what's happening in the upcoming week. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you.
Adam, what's the email address again, please? MH Warrior.
I don't know. I'll put it into the chat for you.
Thank you. I'm trying to type it. Thank you. We want to make sure that people can reach you. That's very important. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So let me just share that. Okay. So Adam, once again, fabulous interview. And I guess we'll be celebrating every year, but please come back and see us sooner than that.
I will do.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And again, God bless you and keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye for now. Everyone, thank you so much for being here, for watching, for listening, for letting people know about Adam's platform, about this platform. And I just want to share this. There's no competition. We are all wanting to help other people. That's what it's about. If you feel better going to Adam's platform, go there. If you want to come to both of our platforms, do it. Whatever it is that makes you happy, that makes you feel safe sharing your story, that's what it's all about. All right, I'm going to put up Adam's email address so that you have it. Here it is, MHWarrior, WARRIOR 99, the number 99 at gmail.com. All right, as we close out this show and we start the next one, I just want to share with you, only because I think it's important. It's all about helping other people. I would love for you to pick up a copy of one of my 2 books. Trust me, I'm not getting rich on book sales. It's just about the message of the first book, Behind the Green Screen. This is the story of how and why I left my corporate job, my job where I was getting paid 6 figures year after year after year. I had the best benefits in the world, traveling, staying in 5-star resorts. It was amazing, but I left it. I gave it all up to start over at zero. So you can read about my personal story and things that happened to me while I was in the corporate world. And also you can learn how I started this platform without any experience, from one radio show where I was being interviewed week after week to me taking over the show, and now to having this incredible TV, radio, and podcast platform. And the second book, Adversity to Awesome, 12 chapters. The first chapter is my story of something that happened to me that I didn't want to speak about. And of course, I absolutely believe that it affected my health for decades. And then the stories of 11 people I interviewed, they've come forward and we were able to put it all into this book. You can find them both on Amazon. So thank you again for being here. And we have another comment. Thank you, Elizabeth. Beautiful transformation. Thank you so much. We are glad that you're here. I sent you a friend request also. And we'll be right back with the United Kitchens, followed by the Listening Mentor, followed by Loving Longevity, and then Pet Psychic Amina. And then we get to start all over planning for next week. Okay, take care. Bye. Bye, Adam.